everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Happiest Hour on Earth. I'm your host, Chris.
And I'm your other host, Emily.
And it has been 2 weeks since we made an episode.
Yeah.
We had last week off because it was 4th of July. We had such a wonderful time seeing friends, going to the fair, swimming. It was amazing. It was a nice week off.
Such a good week. Yeah. We had a lot of fun. He had some extra days off work. It was just all around a very... I wouldn't say relaxing because we were definitely on the go a lot. And it was extremely hot.
It was, yeah.
110.
It was crazy hot. And that's why we did the week before that, imagining creating a water park at Disneyland. And we had so much fun with that episode. I think we came up with some pretty good ideas.
Very good.
Yeah. If you are hot and need to think about something cold and you haven't listened to that episode, go check it out because that made us really want to go to a water park. We've been swimming a lot, but we haven't been to a water park in a long time. But that episode just kind of did it for summer. Oh, it was amazing. But we are back this week and we have a very interesting topic here. So we were talking recently about the idea of untouchable attractions, you know, real classics that have been there for a while and would be really sad if they were touched or updated or anything like that. And so we thought, why don't we actually touch those? We're pretending, let's just say we're Imagineers for the day. And the team comes up to us and says, hey, we need to do an update on this ride. And it's a very scary situation because these rides are amazing as is.
Loved, very loved.
Very loved.
Changing anything can be very,
very touchy. We might like totally wreck your favorite ride. We're going to try to do them as best as we can. But we have 5 here. And I know there's definitely a lot more untouchable attractions that are in the parks. But we picked 5 that we think we could change. We also, this, kind of comes up because Splash Mountain has officially turned into Tiana's Bayou Adventure over at Magic Kingdom. And we are waiting for ours to open in Disneyland.
And that's one that I had imagined would have been an untouchable.
Yeah.
But apparently it was not. So.
Oh, and we are, we're not doing full re-themes like that. We're adding elements. So that one was a big one. That was a whole theme switch over. Oh yeah, we couldn't. That'd be too sad if we did them with these rides. But I think we have some decent ideas. So with that, we will jump into the episode shortly. But before we get into it, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. We are on our way to 1,000 subs. It would be so awesome if you could help us get there. If you're listening on a podcasting platform, go ahead and click follow on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen. And also, if there's an area there where you could rate us, go ahead and rate us 5 stars or write us a 5-star review. That really helps out our show a lot. We also have a merch store and a lot of cool links for Disney merch, candles, coffee, shirts, tickets, all of that stuff. So definitely go check that out if you are missing the parks and want a little Disney in your home. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into this episode.
All right, so before we get into our topic for the evening, next week we actually have a very fun episode coming up. We're going to do a fan Q&A. So those are always really fun for us because it's just always exciting to hear what you guys have to ask us about. We've done maybe a couple in the past, not too many, but it's always been really fun.
Yeah, and it's been a while, like in the past, we tend to do this a lot, but we haven't recently just because summer's been so busy. We usually ask our audience, our listeners, a question that actually like ties into the episode. And it's been a while. Like we said, it's summertime. We're kind of short on time. We're moving a lot here. So we haven't done one in a while that correlates to an episode. So we're like, you know what, let's do a listener Q&A.
Some participation.
And just hear from all of you wonderful people again. We miss talking to you guys in that way. But yeah, definitely let us know.
It's always fun. So that's coming up next week. If you are listening on YouTube, you can comment a question here in this episode, down in the comments below. Or if you follow us on Instagram, we will probably be posting a question box for the Q&A next Monday. I don't know the exact date of that, but if you're hearing this episode when it comes out, it will be the upcoming Monday.
For sure.
So hit us up there, ask us any and all
Anything.
questions. It can be personal. It can be about the podcast. It can be whatever.
Anything about
whatever's on
Disney.
your heart.
Oh yeah. All that stuff.
Anything. So we're pumped for that episode. But
For sure.
jumping into the episode,
Yeah.
the first untouchable that we would touch is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Which is after I
Already
thought about
been
this, it's been touched a lot. Yeah.
Yes. To be honest, a couple of these have already. They've had updates. But
They've had I
I guess if we were going to put our own spin on updates, Pirates has had Jack Sparrow added.
Captain
over
Red.
time. Yes. Who?
Red, the
Captain Red. Is that
I think she's Captain Red the pirate.
Maybe. Red.
Okay, Red the pirate, pirate Red.
Whatever her official title is. Yes.
You know, the
was
redhead.
added.
No,
Yeah. There have been minor tweaks here and there, but there is something that we have always said would be really fun to incorporate into this ride. And that would be mermaids, or I guess sirens, as they are in the movie, if we're going by that lore. We thought it would be really fun to have mermaids kind of like swimming along the boat in the like cave area, kind of like before you enter where like the ship scene is.
Yeah. So it's that section where
Like,
it gets really, really dark, at least in the Disneyland one. And I think there's a section like this in Magic Kingdom. It's been a while since we've been on it, but there's this one area gets super dark. They used to have Davy Jones's face in that area. And now they have that
pirate that like kind of like as you pass by, he switches from
skeleton to man.
Yeah. So it'd be kind of in that area. I guess maybe the water would kind of like glow and you would see like movement or something.
Because there's a lot of like dead space before you get to that area. So I feel like it would be kind of cool. It would be fitting.
There would be like just something extra to pay attention to. I mean, you're hearing like the ghostly voices and stuff, but
he knows too much.
Yeah, that one. But
sorry, you guys had to hear that.
It would be really fun though to have something more visual, like in that kind of like waiting period before you get to the next thing. So,
and you know what? Magic Kingdom had this for a while. They had some sort of mermaid thing. Yeah, I
forgot
a long time ago. I don't know what happened to them, but I remember like watching videos and being like, oh my gosh, this is cool. But that's kind of a cool technology, like under the water.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how they would do it here to make it look kind of realistic, but I just think it would be cool if it was kind of glowing and you just saw like the water moving a little extra and like, something underneath.
Yeah.
Just add a little more spookiness.
And it fits within the Pirates of the Caribbean movie lore. That was movie number 4, I think. Yeah.
And that scene is like so intense.
Yeah. So having that would just like kind of heighten the intensity a little bit. Like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen in this dark cave?
And they could even switch the voice to be like one of them singing.
Oh my gosh. Like, you just hear some singing things.
That's what adds to the creepiness, because when they sing, they're about to attack or whatever.
Oh, that'd be so creepy.
I think that would be perfect in that section of this ride. In addition to one other thing, which I have said this for years, and I don't know why it doesn't happen, because there is, again, so much space in the like cannonball scene, like between the ships.
Or the ship in the fort or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Like where Barbossa is. And that whole area where the like water is, it would be perfect to add some Kraken tentacles, like some huge tentacles coming out of the water. Maybe they're not even
just every so often.
Maybe they just like shoot up and like freak you out when you pass by.
Yeah.
I just think that would be another thing that would really add to the overall.
Yeah. That'd be so cool. Like
shock factor.
It doesn't even have to be super, super noticeable.
Yeah.
But like you look for it and you're like, oh my gosh, like there's a crack in there. That'd be pretty awesome. Sticking with the, dead man's chest lore. That'd be awesome.
Exactly.
I feel like another thing you could do too, because the Shanghai pirates look so cool. I feel like there's a way where maybe you could, I don't want to change. I don't want to do updated technology too much because I love the practical effects, but there could even be like in one section behind the ship, like a screen. So it just kind of makes it look like depth. So they could, it could look like multiple different ships if you look out, so you can kind of see the horizon and some other ships in the distance. I could give it some depth, but I always like when they use screens in a very minimal way. Like Alice in Wonderland, I think, was the first time I was like, oh, this is amazing, because the practical effects are there, but with the screens intermixed, it just looks so cool. Yeah. Perfect way to like bring in the old and the new and have them coexist together. I love it. Yeah. It's so cool.
I think it would be great. So that's basically what we have for pirates. I think that those ideas would be pretty fun. I wouldn't want them to change too much else about it. Honestly, it's such a classic. And so many of those scenes are just like iconic from literally opening day Disneyland. I wouldn't want too much changed, but just some like additional things on top of the already incredible ride that it is.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be so cool. Next, we are going over to another one that is favorite that is very untouchable. It has been touched a little bit in,
the holiday season.
I guess a lot of it during the holiday season, but also with the Hatbox Ghost, which was a perfect addition. We are talking about Haunted Mansion. And so buckle in here, because he's
got quite the idea.
Okay. Yeah. So here it goes. We all know Master Gracie, right? Owner of the house. We just see that and we don't know anything else about him. Now, there is some lore behind that, especially, coming from the latest movie that came out in 2023. So I think it would be interesting there's already so much going on in the Haunted Mansion. So it'd be kind of hard to do a lot, but I think that you could have Master Gracie appear in multiple different scenes, kind of like Jack Sparrow does, where you could miss him, but it's also really fun trying to find him. And also, this is like the Paris Haunted Mansion Phantom Manor, where you see the Phantom, the owner of the house, throughout multiple different scenes, like behind his daughter, who he did not want her to leave the town, and he's just haunting her, right? So kind of having him scattered about would be kind of cool, and just seeing like what has become of his place, because in the movie, what happens is Master Gracie, his wife passed away, and so he hires Madame Leota before she's like in her crystal ball to try to contact the spirits on the other side. And they try so many times over and over again, they're never able to contact her. But since they do it so many times, they're opening up pretty much like a portal, and a lot of like spirits are coming into the house. And they do it so much that one evil guy, Alistair Crump, I think his name is, who's the Hatbox Ghost, comes into the house, and he is not like the other ghosts that live there. He's a really devious person. And so the Hatbox Ghost convinces Master Gracie to I don't want to say it on the podcast, but when you're on that elevator scene and you look up and something terrible has happened to what people say Master Gracie was, something in the attic, he convinces him to do that. In the movie, he drinks something and he plops over. Boom. I'm like being very
so sly.
Sly. He goes to sleep for a very long time. But that happens. And then so that would be interesting to have him appear and see like the master of the house, but just like in some scenes, like just overlooking like what has become of his house because of what he had done, playing with some stuff that he shouldn't have played with Madame Leota. So that could be kind of interesting.
A great idea, because like you kind of know the idea of Master Gracie, like you hear the name occasionally, but there's really nothing else about him. So
so it's kind of cool to like, if there were to be any change in the Haunted Mansion, it would just be to bolster up the lore that if you are a big Disney fan, but you wouldn't if you're actually in the ride. So kind of boosting that up would be kind of cool, because then there's like a true story.
There's like a reason behind all these ghosts in this mansion. Kind of see who started it all.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that would be good.
That'd be awesome.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe.
I guess we'll see.
Next up, though, we are talking about Jungle Cruise, which really hasn't had many changes. I know in Disney World, Or is it here?
No, I
too?
think it's here. Yeah, the
Cruise?
Jingle Cruise. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We
I
just like
think.
literally never go during Christmas. So for some reason, I always forget that it's here also.
Yeah.
I want to go at Christmas again.
Let's see
They
if they're-
recently
Oh, they
switched
did.
the guys
Oh.
climbing the
Yes.
thing.
They switched that. They also switched the ending instead of the shrunken heads. Right. It's like the
Oh, they
the
switched
monkeys trying. Yeah. They don't have that anymore. There's like a lot of
funny.
like things that I guess could have been seen as like demeaning to tribes and stuff like that. And so there were a lot of changes. There's also like the monkeys on the boat scene. Yeah, they did change some
Okay,
things.
I guess they switched some things.
Yeah.
I forgot. So it's not completely untouched.
Yeah.
But if we were to touch it, our idea would be more so about the skippers, more so than like the ride itself. But we think it would be fun to have the skippers kind of be able to write their own jokes in rather than them kind of following the script of the jokes, which obviously we all know and love the jokes. They're, we've heard them for years.
Yeah.
They're always fun. But there is the rare occasion where you get someone who just kind of goes off the script a little bit. And I feel like we've always had some great Jungle Cruise rides with skippers like that.
Yeah.
Just some really extra funny jokes. And so obviously, some people could take advantage of that opportunity and maybe make it
Go way off the rails.
a little uncomfortable or whatever. So maybe some jokes would have to be like screened before anyone's going to decide to change up the script. But it could really make for an even more exciting ride if you know that every time you go, you're going to be getting different jokes. You're going to be getting a different type of person and personality.
Yeah, different feel. Yeah, personality. Because we have had some where they have changed up the script a little bit, and I'm not sure what the rules are about that. Because whenever we have someone that changes things, I feel like it's usually later at night. Maybe they're a little more lenient, but most of the time, they kind of stick to the script. But if they did allow people to have more creativity, I've been listening to like a lot of stand up recently, and to have one time you go on it, it's like someone who's super dry has like whatever, that kind of humor. Another person's like the dad jokey pun style. That is like what we normally see.
Yeah.
One just like really kind of wild and goofy and crazy, but that would be cool. Cause then it would add a whole bunch of rewritability, and you're like, it's almost like you're getting a stand-up routine as you're going on. And if people aren't like that, if they don't want to do it, then they could stick to their original script. But yeah, just providing a little more like variety would be so cool.
Leeway. And I feel like there are skippers that do kind of make it their own. I've seen videos of it. There was one I saw not too long ago that was actually really funny.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like you see it that often.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something that they're allowed to do or if some of them just kind of are like,
I'm just gonna go for it.
Anything. Like, I'm just gonna do it. But
just like cultivate an environment where it's like, yes, like we would love for you to have your own material. Come to us, kind of tell us what you want to do. And then if it gets approved, then you could add that. But it would be so cool. I think that'd be awesome. So next up, we are going to be talking about Thunder Mountain. And I'm getting the lore heavy one. So buckle up again, because this one kind of fits into that, because I was trying to think, okay, Thunder Mountain's such a classic ride. We were also thinking of some other ones that aren't on this list, like Space Mountain, but that gets changed for Hyperspace and Ghost Galaxy. Also, Small World is pretty untouchable. However, they did do, added the Disney characters in it. There's probably some on Magic Kingdom side that are, or even Epcot for that matter. But we're kind of sticking with Disneyland as it's our home park. But we're going to talk about Thunder here. And Thunder's a pretty straightforward ride. You're on the train. There's animals that you see. And that's pretty much it. But little do people know there's actually some lore attached to Thunder Mountain. And so it goes like this. In the 1800s, and this is fake, but in the fake Disney world of 1800s, there was a town called Rainbow Ridge. This is where you're at in the ride. And I think of pretty much of all Frontierland. But this area used to belong to an indigenous tribe, and they, respected the nature that was there, the mountains. There was actually a spirit that lived in the mountains called Big Thunder, or Thunderbird, they called him. And so, you know, I kind of think of Pocahontas or like Brother Bear, like those kind of, you know, nature spirits, right? But these people saw the mountains, saw that there was gold in the mountains. They started using their pickaxes, and then they're like, oh, we could get the gold quicker if we just start blowing up the mountain. And so they started doing that to this like sacred mountain, and Thunderbird got really upset, started causing a whole bunch of natural disasters, started causing their mine trains to go wild and cause accidents. And because of that, the once populated Rainbow Ridge got deserted, and the population size shrunk dramatically. And so that's kind of the backstory of Thunder Mountain. So I know.
Never knew.
And the
Never
funny
knew there was
thing,
a
the
story.
cool thing is that in Paris, I believe it's the Phantom in Phantom Manor. That was the head of that town. I forgot if it's Rainbow Ridge there or something else. But so he's the owner of the manor, but I think he's in charge of the Big Thunder Mining Company, which is the ones that went in to do that, which is really cool because that's really interconnected. It's the whole like society of explorers and adventurers. There's also connections to Tokyo's Tower of Terror, all this cool stuff. So if you want to check it out, we thought we were going to do an episode on that before, but we're like, this is a lot of information. It would be so hard, but that's what it is for Thunder Mountain. So we're thinking, how can we tell a little more of this backstory through the ride? And we were thinking, you know what? You know how you go through towns and there's little signs telling you what's here and what's there and a little history of the town? That would be cool if you could add those little signs in the queue, so it makes it a little more interactive. So you hear about what had happened and why people left. And then we were thinking on the actual ride, you know, the first cave that you enter right off the bat, and it's very dark and there's the bats in there. And then you go up the lift hill and there's that little waterfall that's going on either side of you. Well, we were thinking, what if in that first hill that you go in and it's just dark for a long time, you could see like kind of swirling, colorful, I don't know if this is the correct term, but you know, like the Brother Bear and Pocahontas, like colorful spirits or whatever, like tribal spirits or whatever, kind of swirling about you, and they, you know, curse your mine car or something like that. And then that's why you have the wildest ride in the wilderness, because you're hit by those spirits that are mad that you are still exploring the mountains. So yeah, maybe you could hear something and see like with projection mapping them, like, and then you start going up the hill and crash down. I don't know. That was the best we could do. Yeah. I was originally thinking, oh, let's add another animal. And then I went wild with it. So
yeah,
that's kind of,
I think there's enough animals. I think that part is played out. I think anything that adds to the overall story and like the backstory is a good idea.
Could be interesting.
I think it just adds to like the intrigue.
Yeah.
You know, because Disney is great at that. They're really good at storytelling, but some of the rides, they haven't really like dove deeper into that. Some they do, some they don't as much. But I think that one like Thunder Mountain, that would be really fun to be able to like have more to follow.
For sure.
That ride.
Especially, we did an episode on this a long time ago. It was, what ride are they going to make a movie on again? Because it was right when Jungle Cruise came out. And we talked about Thunder Mountain a little bit, but like if they ever decide to do Thunder Mountain, like they did with Pirates and Haunted Mansion and Jungle Cruise, I'm sure they would explore that backstory if they did a Thunder Mountain one. And I actually think that would work pretty well as a movie.
Yeah, I think so too.
So then it would tie into the lore and the movie a little bit. So yeah,
I like
interesting
it.
stuff.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea that there was such a backstory to it, but
yeah, it's crazy.
Pretty cool. Last up on our list, we are touching Indiana Jones.
Yep.
An incredible ride. However, it has had its ups and downs as a ride. I feel like there's definitely been some times recently before this most recent refurb where there was just a lot that needed to be fixed. So
I remember the snake didn't move for a long time, and
there was a lot.
The ball would sometimes not work. Yeah.
Sometimes I think even the Mara
like
just
nothing
kind of nothing happened there. So glad that they got all of that on track. However, there's one area of the ride where we feel like they could definitely switch it up at this point. It's kind of surprising that they haven't yet, to be honest, with all the other updates that have happened.
Yeah.
The skeleton scene getting kind of towards the end of the ride.
Yeah, the dart scene at the
dart,
end.
yeah, skeletons with the darts. It's just not super well done. It kind of like takes you out of the like realisticness of the ride.
The whole ride is so realistic.
Feels
I mean,
so real.
there's so much depth when you go across that bridge and you look down and there's like the little water and lava, and it's
so immersive.
Yeah.
So dark. I mean, it's crazy that it can feel like you were legitimately in this creepy cave.
Yeah.
Like that, when outside it's just pure daylight. Like, it feels so realistic. All the movement, you know, there's so much that is going on in that ride. And then you get to that scene and it's like painted walls of skeletons. And then you just like feel air on you. And like, you know, of course you're bumping and stuff.
And honestly, I've always had fun during that scene. Because I love when it stops and then you hear.
Yeah.
And I love like pretending I'm dodging it. But I was always like, I was always so weirded out. It's like, oh, this is just a painted wall.
Yeah. Like, I feel like they could definitely update it where they're not changing that whole scene, because it is really fun. The whole idea of, you know, just the darts coming at you. But yeah, it's so just like stationary. Yeah. It doesn't like add much to the excitement of the ride, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they could use like screens, which, you know, like we're not always the biggest fan of screens being added to rides, but sometimes if it can be done well, I think it's a good idea, because they can have screens and you could actually see skeletons like running at you or something.
That would heighten that so much, because then you still feel the air. So it's like they're throwing, you know, spears at you.
Yeah.
I think that would be so cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I don't know how they haven't done that kind of thing yet for such a loved ride. It's like, I guess in their minds they're like, well, people love it anyway, so like we don't need to change anything about it. But like, that would just heighten it so much.
Yeah. Because that's the only scene that feels
just a little lackluster.
Yeah. I think that would be crazy. And then right when you're like exiting that scene, like they're actually really close to you, so you could feel like them charging
closing
on
in.
either side.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty crazy.
That would make it so much more exciting in that scene. Yeah. That is the one scene where it's kind of just like, like could use a little something extra.
And they added screens recently instead of the rat scene. Remember there's like that spider web. It was like cobwebs or something, and then everyone's like, oh, there's a rat that runs across and he falls into your cart. That was like, it never looked like that. It was just like mist that maybe kind of looked like there was a rat somewhere.
Well, you could kind of see the rat, but it was so hazy. Yeah. It's like, I think there's a rat there, and you would kind of see something drop. Yeah. But now like that scene has like the updated screen where it feels like things are, the place is like crumbling in on you. Yeah. It's better now for sure.
So yeah, I think that would be the next step. And then the ride would be perfect. It's already such a great ride, but we had to end with that one because I felt like that one could actually happen. Like the other ones are a little more far-fetched, but that one I think is just an update that would definitely improve the ride.
And it couldn't be too hard to do. Just adding screens in. And I mean, I guess the only thing is that they already have so many like technical difficulties with that ride all the time that maybe that would just add to the complications that things could go wrong. Yeah. That's probably why they've just kept them the stationary thing. It's like the one area that doesn't get screwed up. But hey, if it's going to be breaking down all the time anyways, what's one more thing to add to it? Exactly. I don't know. I think it would be fun.
That'd be so awesome. But those are our ideas. Now, we want to hear from you. We love hearing from you guys. So if there's any that we mentioned or any that we didn't mention, let us know in the comments below what you would change. What maybe you don't even want the ride there anymore. Maybe you just want to totally switch it up. We would love to hear from you. And on that topic, we'd love to hear from you for next week's episode as well. This is your chance to just ask us anything. We're going to have a great time responding to your guys' questions.
We've gotten like a decent amount of new followers,
True.
new faces around on the page. So, we would love to hear from you guys. If
Definitely.
you listen, if you have anything you want to ask about,
Now's
or
your
parents, you
chance.
can ask us about parenting.
Yeah.
You can ask us about marriage. You can ask us about dating. You can ask us about Disney, whatever's on your mind.
It's
Send
going to be
it
a good
over.
time. It'll be so much fun.
So fun.
But with that, we hope you guys have an incredible weekend, and we will catch you guys next week for another episode of the Happiest Hour on Earth. See you then.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.